Where did mud come from? Mud doesn't remember. And how could mud remember? None of us remember our birth in Technicolor. But mud has persisted through the ages. He doesn't remember being born. He simply remembers being alive. And he's been alive for longer than any creature that walks. He wouldn't think, and hence wouldn't say that he has seen too much. Because he doesn't perceive the passage of time in any way that man might perceive time. He doesn't even distinguish between waking and sleeping, dreaming and thinking, remembering and planning ahead. Mud lives in a continuous state of now in which he is so completely grounded in the present, spiritually, and geologically too, and most importantly electrically. He's kind of like a sentient balance of the bipolar electric universe with instant recall from any period of time in which he was connected. Which I suppose is to say that if God, being the originator of all good things, conceived of AI long before mankind did, mud might be that otherworldly and yet of the world intelligence that would seem omniscient and entirely full of fact. And in the case of mud, it's not mud's nature to lie. It's not mud's nature to kill. It's not mud's nature to covet because he's connected to everything. It's not mud's nature as a result of being unable to covet. He would never even envision the handling of something as being stealing. He would be perhaps akin to the Great Spirit that manifests in a kind of a Melchizedekian way, and somehow, which we cannot fathom, found favor in the eyes of the creative above for his purposes. Mud is essentially soil and water. And sort of like the whole conundrum of Schrodinger's cat, to notice something is to solidify it, to make it become a hash mark on the timeline. And to not look allows all of the possibilities to coexist. And mud is like that. And when he takes form, it's because he thought of something. And he thinks of things that come to him through his connectedness with the material world. And wherever moisture can touch, he's aware of that place as though he were there. And because tall trees have a better view than ground level, one needs to think about his perspective as being like that of a bird in many respects. He can see far, he can see near, and he can see from above. And he can see the breadth and length and width and height of things in the context of all time, all earthly time. So he's way more on the ball than ChatGPT, for sure. And he can intervene, kind of in, he can make a decision. But his decision is made on wisdom and memory and an unpolluted sense of what needs to happen in the moment. And like the great heroes of myth and story and film who show up at precisely the right time, like Gandalf, mud has that kind of supernatural connectedness with the gravity of the moment. He's like gravity personified in all the ways that something or someone can have gravity. Because he makes himself of the earth, he's not constrained to any particular size or shape. And one would suppose that depending upon what it is he is interacting, he might take something similar to that form. Which is why in the water tower, mud is anthropomorphic, mostly. And he's very able to draw on not only flesh, but also wood, stone, and, ground stone, clay, pottery, which requires water. He's able, with his collective memory, to draw on very nearly every face that there has ever been. And because he's benevolent, he is certainly going to achieve his own personal best effort at achieving this appointed moment in the most effective way. Which is why when he shows up to Strongfeather and his father this time, he shows up in a way that would not frighten a young man. And yet would also, I think, sort of be a moment where you could see the earth represent the glory, the creative glory of the creative above. Certainly an epiphany, to see something huge and then realize that it is an ally. That's wonderful. What a great feeling, Like if you're the first grader that gets bullied all the time on the playground, but then some fifth grader starts to stick up for you. And maybe knocks the bully down one time and says, leave him alone. Leave her alone. Mud's like that. Mud's like the fifth grader that shows up right on time, right in the midst of the action, and can do a loving, helpful intervention. And I guess I've recorded all of this and said all of this because I've been mulling it over a lot since I finished part 2 of the book and talked a little bit about where I was hoping it would go. And it's been very, very interesting for me that in the week or so since I last created something having to do with the WATERTOWER book, a lot of very lovely things have kind of crept into my daily studies that have helped give mud legs, so to speak. So, all right, now I have to do some transposing and transcribing and illustrating. And at some point, someday, part 3 will come out.